If a person is excessively needy, it usually means that their needs are not being met. And an interesting thing happens, which is when most couples get married, all of a sudden they realize, like, wow, we have 5-6 hours a night to spend, and it's amazing. And then, like, as life hits you, and all the responsibilities of life and family, all that stuff, as all those things start falling into place, you realize, like, wow, our time is really dwindling. Like, your husband has a real job and a career, and he's in graduated college, children, family, whatever, right? All of a sudden you realize, like, oh my goodness, like, how does a couple survive when they're married 10 years or 15 years? The answer is that the time becomes very quality, right? It's not anymore, you're not just sitting there playing Scrabble for 17 hours straight. Like, you're really like, oh my gosh, like, we have 15 minutes, like, let's grab 15 minutes, like, let's really talk, and let's, not in a heavy way, but like, you maximize, you get onto a fast charger plan. Like, you make sure, like, all of a sudden, like, okay, we only have a few minutes here. Like, let's utilize this time together. And if you don't, then what happens? All the distractions in life, they start to hit you at once. I think that probably in today's generation, I mean, I don't think it's even a question. I think that distraction is probably the number one, definitely top 1 or 2 things within marriages that challenge marriages. And I think that this generation has more distraction than any other time in history. Even our parents, maybe you guys are younger and your parents or whatever, but yeah, even, it doesn't matter. 15 years ago, when you came home, you were home. That was it. If somebody called you on your house phone with a business question, it was the biggest breach of privacy. What in the world are you calling me at home at 8 o'clock at night? Chutzpah? Like, are you crazy? It was crazy, right? And if you send somebody a fax, so they got it the next day in the office, whatever. Today, people sit at home, it's 11 o'clock at night, they're sitting next to their spouse, and they're on the phone with business, or they're texting somebody, or WhatsApping them, or emailing somebody, like, with business. Like, what's going on? This never existed. There was never, ever such a concept. Besides all the things that we have accessible to us, the Netflix, and the YouTube, and the TikTok, all the other stuff, which just distracts us from where we are. And to a large degree, people learn to exist within the distraction rather than to live within the moment, the relationship. So where things were just organically healthy, now you have to struggle to, like, push all these things to the side in order to just be present in your own home. Something that I don't think ever existed, ever. You know what I mean? So, again, the worst was, like, your husband was, like, reading the newspaper. That was, like, the worst. And by that time, the news was so old. So it was, like, already, like, silly. Like, are you reading something from 4 days ago? Like, who cares? Like, it wasn't even chashuv. You know, like, now, like, before the news even finishes, like, they've located a bomb. You're like, ooh. Like, you literally can follow along as it happens. Like, oh, exciting. What's next? You know, it didn't even blow up yet. And, like, you already know about what's going on. Right? There's an app, the Citizen app in New York, where citizens, like Good Samaritans, they can, like, report things to the police. And then they also can track, you guys live in Jersey, so you can, you know what it is? You, like, basically say, like, I'm live streaming. Let's say people are fighting on the street. You, like, go, like, I'm live streaming this. So there's people fighting on the street, right? The police don't even know about it yet. The police are not even yet called. And then as the police pull up, like, you, like, report, like, you are reporting the police pulling up to the scene. You know the news before the news even knows the news. It's, like, unbelievable, the world we live in. But unfortunately, all those things are distractions. And distractions are very detrimental, because it takes you away from putting in. And as the time in your relationship gets crunched, and less, if you're not putting into that relationship, because your time is limited, and your headspace is limited, and your emotional space is limited, and you just need to focus on yourself, it's like, oh, I can't deal with all of this, then how are we supposed to give to somebody else? It's important to recognize that what that means to contribute is not only supper. It's a good question. It's not only supper. It's a lot more than just supper. It's a lot more than, what do you mean? But I give you a house and I give you a car. I hear this from men all the time. What do you mean? Like, you think I want to work? I'm working for you. You know what I'm saying? I got you this house. Like, how could you possibly complain? I bought you a car. I got you a diamond ring. Like, you don't think I love you? It's all very nice. But that's not giving me. That's giving me supper. If your husband comes home and he has, like, a 20-course meal every night, he's not going to feel loved. He's going to feel fat. He's not going to feel loved. He's going to be like, this is all very nice. Thank you very much. But he's not going to feel that emotional connection to a person. So this question is a good question. What does a person have to put in? They have to put in on the emotional side of things. But if not, that's a problem.